Dance has been the constant pulse in my life. Today, at 60, I find no other place of such freedom as the stage, where my whole being transforms. I've danced every moment that I could throughout my entire life, even in my dreams. My mother said, "The world has to see you, Mary, not your disability. Let your spirit fly."
I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. See, I was on the verge of breaking down. Sometimes silence can seem so loud. There are miracles in life I must achieve. But first I know it starts inside of me. If I can see it, then I can be it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Oh, I believe I can fly. Hey, 'cause I believe in you. If I can see it, then I can do it. I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I can fly. I believe I can fly. I can fly. I believe I can fly. I can fly. If I just spread my wings, I can fly. 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 Hey, if I just spread my wings, I can fly. 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 Somebody.
Thank you. I'm not handicapped, I'm Mary. Those are the words that my mother taught me to say as I was growing up. When I was a child, I didn't really know what she meant, but today I know what she meant was for the world to see me, not my disability. So today we don't really use the word handicapped because it's actually a negative term and it equates to cap in hand and beggar. But in 1955, I was born with spina bifida, and babies that were born with that disability were left to die. So the doctors told my mother to put me in a nursing home, and that in their words, I would be no more than a vegetable. But my grandmother, who had a great amount of faith and great conviction, said to take me home and to take care of me as much as possible and to the best of her ability. And she said I was born with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye. I guess I still have the tears in my eye. And that I was meant to do something special. And that's why I'm here today, because I want you to see and believe in the impossible. As you can see, I did survive, but it wasn't without a lot of perseverance. And it was at a time where I was really didn't know what the possibilities were for me. But I did know that it took a lot of physical and emotional endurance. But I always had dance in my life. I remember seeing Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire dancing on television, and I would think of myself dancing with them without a disability. I would go to the ballet, and I would watch the ballerinas on stage, and I would see myself on stage as well. So I truly believe that I was born to dance, that dance was a vocation that chose me. I did not choose it. And I really had a fervor to follow in my mother's footsteps as a dancer. And for some people, bringing together the two words of dance and disability really doesn't conjure up an image that one can even comprehend. But from as long as I can remember, as young as 3 years old, I wanted to be a dancer. And I always say that ignorance is bliss, and that's the beauty of children, because if you don't know that you can't, you will. So, as a child, I was very fragile. And I guess you can't tell that from my muscles now, but I was fragile. But I had a fierceness about moving. And even to the point I walked with braces and crutches, and I broke my braces, one right after the other. So they got me stronger braces, and instead I broke my leg 3 times. So then they had me sitting in a wheelchair, and I broke the axle right off the wheels. I guess there was no stopping me. But even when I was really sick and hospitalized, I would close my eyes and listen to my mother's bedtime stories, which were those of her traveling throughout the country, dancing, and how she met my father, who is a musician, on stage. So that all seemed so very romantic to me, and that drew me more and more into wanting to dance. So the story, though, of how I became America's first professional wheelchair dancer and started the first physically integrated dance company in America is much too long of a story for you today. But I will say that once I got well enough, I vowed that I would never take one moment for granted, and that I would dedicate the work that I did, or that I do, for educating children, because they are the leaders of tomorrow, and to fight for the rights of people with disabilities, but in an artful way. And to help others to look to the sky, to reach for the stars, because anything is possible. But I wanted to ask each of you what your perceptions of disabilities are. Like, what did you think of before you came here? And I wondered whether your perceptions have changed after the single performance that you saw. Because most people, or some people, equate disability with inability. And sometimes they're afraid to see someone with a disability because they feel that they may feel sorry for them or have pity. But for us, we look to go beyond the limitations. We want our dances and the performances we do to inspire others to reach beyond what their perceived limitations are. And for each of you to just jump up and take on new and exciting challenges in your life. I would like to introduce two of our company members who had perceptions of disabilities in their lives, and then due to circumstances, their perceptions have changed. So please welcome Sarah and DeMarco.
Growing up, I had never met a person with a disability firsthand. In my school, students with disabilities were isolated to learn in other classrooms. Kids with physical disabilities may not have even been able to get to the classroom. Now, after 10 years of working with Dancing Wheels, I understand and I value that it's people first, and that a person with a disability is just differently abled.
Since my injury, I've learned so much about being disabled. I've learned about myself as well as the world around me. I learned that people often assume that you're helpless and are always in need of their help. It really takes the patience you sometimes don't know you have to really make it through the day. But being disabled doesn't mean your life is over. It just means you have to find a new way to live it. And I'm living every moment of mine through my dance.
It was Eleanor Roosevelt that said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Whether you're a dancer or a lover of dance or an audience member that has no interest in dance whatsoever, we believe that one performance can change the perceptions of possibilities. A young boy that once saw a performance of ours came up to me and he said, "If you can dance in your chair, I know that I can do anything in my life." So as you can see, dance is my life force. The desire to dance is so strong in my life that even when I had a severe illness that left me with the need of a kidney transplant that my husband actually donated 21 years ago. I was at a point where I just had to go back and dance. So 1 week after surgery, I was able to get out of the hospital. And 1 month after the date of surgery, I performed for over 1,000 people. So that desire was just so strong in me, but I am not a superhuman person. I believe that it's the power of prayer, perseverance, and positive thinking that allowed me to rise above. So my question to you is, what is your light force? What is it that would rise you up in the darkest of moments? I often say that the greatest disability is when you say you can't, because that's when it all stops. You will never know unless you try. And when I think of disability, I think of strength, determination, being unstoppable, and creative, because we have to be. It was Christian D. Larson that said, "Believe in yourself. There is something inside that is greater than any obstacle." So I know that seeing is believing, so we will leave you with one last performance performed by the Dancing Wheels Company and choreographed by David Verset.
I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Yes, I really hope you can see me now. But to do that, I've got to see you. Yes, to do that, I've got to know you. So, I guess I must see you. I guess I must see you. I guess I must see you. Yes, I really hope I can see you now. I guess I must see you. I guess I must see you. I guess I must see you. Yes, I really hope I can see you now. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Yes, I really hope I can see me now. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Yes, I really hope you can see me now. See me now. Can see me now. See me now. See me now. See me now. My hopes, my dreams, my loves, my fears, that I want someone tonight just to hold me near. Cause I want you to hold me tight, to wrap your arms around me in the stillness of the night. My hopes, my dreams, my loves, my fears, that I want someone tonight just to hold me near. My hopes, my dreams, my loves, my fears, that I want someone tonight just to hold me near. Cause I want you to hold me tight, to wrap your arms around me in the stillness of the night. But to do that, you've got to see me. Yes, to do that, you've got to know me. So, I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Yes, I really hope you can see me now. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Yes, I really hope you can see me now. I want you to see me.